Well, hello. It's been a few months since we've been live and done a show at all, whether it be Werewolf Wednesday, the Horror Syndicate Discourse, or Horror Movie Massacre. But I think I think we're back. I think we could possibly be back. Tomorrow night we are doing our top 30 of 2024. I know everybody's foaming at the mouth right now, waiting for us to reveal our list and what our number one is. Unfortunately, Uh, and I say unfortunately, but it looks like the Terrifier 3 film is going to win our bracket for the 2024 movies, but it got uh, it got bombed by Terrifier fans. So it to me is illegitimate. So it wins, but we're gonna put an asterisk by it because it's definitely not the best movie from 2024. We will tell you what that is tomorrow night. My personal favorite from 2024 was the Substance, and I'll ask Seth what his favorite movie from 2024 is, and be ready to be surprised because you won't be if you know who Seth is. Seth, how are you, man?
I'm doing good. My favorite of 2024 is a movie that very few people like. It's called Blackout.
Yeah, werewolf stuff will be starting next Wednesday, right, Seth? You tell them
That's
all
right.
about werewolves and Blackout. Blackout, I saw. Me and Nate both watched that one. I'm trying to remember where I placed it. I think I'm gonna look real fast because it was not very high. It's not a bad
But
movie. I'm not saying it was a terrible movie or anything like that. It was number 30 out of my 40, and Nate had it at where did he have it? 33. So, I
yeah,
mean, we're not saying it's a bad movie. It's just this 2024 was a big year in horror for sure.
well,
Um,
just in general, like the impressions I get from I've watched a couple different YouTubers talk about it, and then just seeing like people back when I had social media, like people talk about it, like when it got brought up, like it doesn't really seem like a lot of people liked it as much as I did. I strongly liked it. I watched it a lot of times, so and I'm gonna defend that movie, uh, pretty good tomorrow night.
I mean, it's the tortured werewolf, which I actually prefer,
Yeah,
versus a raging beast or whatever. Um, it wasn't bad. It just didn't get me like it got you, and that's like I didn't expect the Substance to do what it did for me. I was blown away by that movie. Um, but
man, that's a fun movie.
it was a fun movie. I thought the movie, like all of it, was great, and I'm like, "Yeah, okay, this is maybe top 10." And then the last 20 minutes, I'm like, "Oh my god!"
Once I
That's
got
a
into
little
Monstro Elizasu,
yeah. Hmm.
I was like, okay, I'm like, this is fucking awesome. Because
Yeah, I was
beforehand, I was
very
like,
very
I was
happy.
expecting it to go like a certain way, and like,
Yeah,
I figured it was just gonna be the conflict between Demi Moore and her younger self, and then once the title card popped up about Monstro Elizasu, I was like, okay, this is fucking awesome. So yeah,
it did not disappoint, and it's funny because before, well, when it first came out, I got messages from a couple of people who know me that are horror fans, used to be a part of the Horror Syndicate, tell me you're either going to absolutely love this movie or absolutely hate the movie. And Morgan, it's like I think you're going to love it, and I did. So it beat out Late Night with the Devil, which was my number one for almost all year. I'm looking forward to the conversation tomorrow, but tonight we're going to do something a little bit different for anybody who watches this show, Horror Movie Massacre. We do lists generally of franchises, but I don't know. I was trying to think of things for tonight, and I was like, well, it's this year, 2025, is the 40th anniversary of the horror films that came out in 1985. So why don't we talk about those? And I was like, Seth sends me his list, top 10 horror movies of 1985, and I was like, okay, I'll do mine too. And then I asked Jared and Nate, and they did theirs. Like that's the fastest I've ever gotten a list out of Jared ever.
yeah.
And so I did what Nate does, his magic, and put them together, and we got the list. And that's what we're doing tonight, as you might have seen. If you are new here, nobody's watching currently. That's okay because we'll keep going. Uh, Please subscribe, and hit the like button. So that's what we're doing tonight. We do have some honorable mentions that because not everybody's, we all had one extra movie on the list, at least that didn't make the cut. And the first one I'm going to let you talk about because I don't like it is The New Kids. There are people who like this, but it just doesn't feel like a horror movie to me. But what is it about this one that gets you?
Well, yeah, I mean, like I was telling you earlier today, it's a nostalgia thing for me. So like, this was a movie my parents owned on VHS, and I watched it a lot in my youth. And I'm not really a big Sean Cunningham fan, but this might be my favorite Sean Cunningham movie.
Oh my god!
Yeah, this is where I first I was first introduced to James Spader, who I think very highly of as an actor. I usually love him when he shows up and stuff. And I just think overall it's fun. I got the Blu-ray a couple years back, and I showed it to my buddy, and it was like the first time I watched it in like 20 something years, and I had fun with it. So I do enjoy The New Kids. But again, it's one that like I saw a lot in my youth. I don't know if I saw it for the first time, now like in my 40s, if I would still enjoy it as much. But yeah.
It may be the same for me, the nostalgia and everything of it all, if I would have seen it when I was younger, but I saw it when the Blu-ray came out and it just didn't grab me at all.
Yeah.
And you're not alone, really. There are a lot of people I know that when the Blu-ray came out, they were watching it and enjoyed it. So I got to go take care of something. I don't know if you can hear that or not, but here, talk about a movie you hate. Honorable mention Teen Wolf.
Okay, so to be fair, I do not hate Teen Wolf. I haven't seen this in forever. I liked Teen Wolf 1 and 2 when I was younger, right? They're fun movies, but now that I'm older, I don't really prefer the the comedy side to werewolf stuff. Like I like my werewolf stuff to be a little bit more serious. So Teen Wolf 1 and 2 I liked a lot as a kid. Now that I'm older, they just don't they don't really appeal to me, especially like what I look for in a werewolf film. I do have to throw this out there. I did just start watching the TV show.
I noticed that, by the way, on your Prime.
Yeah, I finished the first season. I
How
actually
was it?
liked it.
Okay.
Not bad. Some of the teenage drama stuff is kind of annoying, but there's some cool
Is it
stuff
true
in
that you had to get your Tyler Hoechlin fix in since Superman and Lois is over?
No, what's funny is like I didn't realize that he was in that, and then I started watching it, and it was funny too because the guy that and also the actor that plays the Alpha in the first season, he was a character in the second season of Superman and Lois, who sort of kind of butted heads with Tyler Hoechlin's Superman. So. Yes, I mean I think he makes for a pretty cool werewolf. The CGI for the Alpha Wolf doesn't really look good at all, and then like the typical like werewolf design is like the person gets long nails and maybe a little bit of prosthetics on their face, like
Not like this.
it's similar to that, but it looks probably a little bit better than that, but completely different tone from the movies.
Are you going to do a Werewolf Wednesday on this?
Yeah, at some point, because I would like to revisit Teen Wolf 1 and 2, and I'll probably just do like an episode on them.
You talked about the New Kids which is an honorable mention. Oops, the wrong one. As the honorable mention is nostalgia. That's 100% what I got here. And the only reason it's not any higher, I didn't consider it a horror movie because it doesn't really play like a horror movie. It plays more like a comedy. But exactly. I like it. I haven't seen it in years. The second one is really bad, but I still have some feelings for that too. But moving along, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
We've got. God damn it! I can't even put that on there. Cat's Eye was on here. Jared and Nate both mentioned that, but the graphic I have had Tarman on it for some reason. So let's move on to this one. I'll get used to this. It's been a while. The Stuff. Have you not seen The Stuff?
I have not seen the stuff, and it's funny because what was it like a couple years ago? Keith was
That's
talking
on
about
Cat's
that,
Eye.
right?
Yeah, this movie is just a lot of fun. Like it's dumb. It's pairs well with Night of the Creeps and The Blob, in my opinion.
Okay.
Great triple feature for a night right there. Because this is the most silly. The Blob's. I would say if you're gonna watch them, there's a silly factor. So The Stuff is the silliest. Then Night of the Creeps. Then The Blob's the most serious of all three. And I'm talking about the remake, the '89 remake, which is just superb in my opinion. But the stuff's a lot of fun. It's silly. It's got what's that guy's name? Jesus, I can't remember his name. But Michael Moriarty, I think is his name. He's from It's Alive, Cue the Winged Serpent, and a few other things. Salem's Return to Salem's Lot. He's the main character in that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He's great. I actually really like him. But he's in the stuff, and it's a fun, wacky '80s movie. I like it. It's definitely worth checking out. But understandable if you don't like it. I do have Cat's Eye on here, by the way. I forgot about this movie completely until I saw Nate and Jared's list. I don't know if it cracked my top 10. Fun movie though.
I barely remember it at all. I saw it.
See, same thing, and then I got the Blu-ray, and the only thing I remembered was this segment with Drew Barrymore, the troll, and the cat.
Yeah.
But then there's James Woods is in one, and there's a couple good ones. Definitely worth watching. One more, and again, this is not one you've seen, Ghoulies.
I'm pretty sure I have seen that, like in the past, but I don't remember dick about it. So I'm gonna
Same level as the stuff. It's wacky, fun, silly.
Yeah.
I mean, you get a ghoulie coming out of a fucking toilet, and a guy has to wear sunglasses because his eyes are glowing green throughout the whole movie. It's a fun movie, I think. But yeah, check out Ghoulies if you ever get the shot too. It's actually hard to come by on Blu-ray, DVD, or anything like that. So good luck, I guess. But anyway, if anybody watches this, please let us know your favorites from 1985 in the comments, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on YouTube. Subscribe, hit the like button, all that stuff to help us out because it does help us out. Seth, I don't know if I told you we have passed 66,000 followers on Facebook finally. Not finally, I wasn't trying to get there, but that happened thanks to Terrifier fans.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I mean, yeah, we got to 65,000 in the right at near the end of December, and then blew right past that, and now we're halfway to 67,000. So the goal for the end of the year in 2025 is 70,000. We may do that soon. That'd be great. But we need those subscribers too. Just saying. You want to watch more wacky Seth and his werewolf antics, subscribe to the Horror Syndicate on YouTube. If you have a Gmail, Seth, what happens if you have a Gmail? What does that mean?
It means that you should be able to subscribe to us on YouTube.
Exactly right. All right. So are you ready for the top 10 of 1985? And Seth and I had talked about maybe doing all 10 years of the 1980s, starting in 1980, which is the beginning of the decade, and the end of the decade, which is 1989. 1980 is not a part of the 1970s. Seth, that's something you're missing too. Somebody got in an argument with me when I said, hey, let's do a bracket for all of the 2020s, starting with 2020 to 2024. He's like, 2021 is the start of the decade. I'm like, is it?
No, it's not.
Yeah.
No.
And he's argued with me a lot. Also, you missed out on Sean Cunningham's birthday, and a lot of people were pissed at the thing I wrote. You want me to read it to you?
Yeah, what'd you write?
Give me a minute. I'll find it, but we're going to go ahead and get into our top 10. These are the top 10 horror films of 1985, not the 1985. And we're going to start off with one of your bangers, Howling 2. Is it The Howling 2 or is it Howling 2?
I think it's just Howling 2.
So Howling 2, your sister is a werewolf.
Yes, a.k.a. Howling 2, Sturba Werewolf Bitch. That's one of its other titles.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah,
or Howling 2, Sturba with giant boobs.
You could say that too.
That's my favorite title.
Yeah, I think it's fitting.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a soft spot for the Howland films. This one's just fucking wacky, and that's why I love it. I love the main song in it from
Yeah, me
Babel.
too.
How
Yep.
I tried sending it to you the other night. That was the one that where you said video couldn't play or something like that.
Oh, that's what it was?
Mm-hmm.
God damn it. Oh,
Yep.
that would have made me happy.
Yep. For some reason, it just like it popped in my head, and then so I had to look it up on YouTube and listen to it. Yeah, Sybil Dannon. I mean, enough said.
Mm-hmm.
Christopher Lee, even though he hates this film, I think he's good in it.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
very
it's
different
just,
from the first movie, but it's fun.
it is, yes, and I mean even the werewolf designs are completely different. Even though
They're
it's supposed to
different
be
in all
like
of
a
them.
it's supposed to be a direct continuation of the first one.
Whose sister is she supposed to be? She's Christopher Lee's sister, right?
Sturba is turns out to be the sister of uh, Roscoe or Costco, whatever his name is.
I don't pay that much attention to them, so it's
The title has like double meaning because apparently Karen White had a brother played by Red Brown in this one, and so Christopher Lee tells him your sister was a werewolf, and
that's right. Okay, yeah, it's been like I said, it's been a while since I've seen that one.
it's actually been a while for me too. I've been thinking the other night about doing an old marathon of the old Howland films,
Oh
which
no.
I'm still gonna try to get you to commit to an episode where we talk about all of them. That means you have to rewatch the marsupials.
I don't know if I can do that. We'll see.
You got
Uh,
this.
so Sean Cunningham's birthday, back to that, was December 31st. And so I know you don't play video games, but there's a popular video game, Friday the 13th, based on the game. Tons of people played it. Reynolds played it. He was depressed for like 2 days. They shut the servers down. You can't play with your friends anymore. And it had to do with the lawsuit. It's all because of that fucking lawsuit between him and Victor Miller. And I don't really know whose side I'm on with that. Kind of on Victor Miller's side, but I don't like Sean Cunningham. Period.
Right.
So his birthday, I put up, we do happy birthday posts on the Horror Syndicate. I put happy birthday to Sean Cunningham, the man who created Friday the 13th by ripping off John Carpenter's Halloween and cashed in on the slasher boom, who supposedly hated Jason Voorhees so much and the iconic hockey mask that helped make Jason Goes to Hell a complete mess by painting Adam Marcus into a corner. He supposedly continues to fuck up the Friday the 13th franchise thanks to his greed and vanity. Rather than making more movies when the franchise became extremely popular and found new life thanks to a rash of fan films like Never Hike Alone and the video game, Cunningham was involved in a rights lawsuit with Victor Miller, who felt he didn't get what he deserved back in 1980, 44 years ago. At least we have 12 movies to watch, right? It's kind of funny. The franchise Cunningham ripped off has made it to 13 entries before the franchise that has the number 13 in the title. Thanks for creating a great franchise and taking shits on the fans wherever you can. That's what I said, and it caused an uproar. So I put that on the Horror Syndicate's Facebook page, and people did not like me for that. Oh well. Fuck Sean Cunningham.
Well, a lot of the stuff in there is factually accurate, though. Like stuff even Sean Cunningham has said.
Mm-hmm.
Like he openly admits to cashing in on Halloween. That's why Friday 13th was made. He's talked about that in several different documentaries about Friday 13th.
It's on Crystal Lake Memories, and his name is Jason. Both of them. It's on both of them.
Exactly, and he's completely open with that. I'm trying to think, what was some of the other points you made?
The hockey mask thing. He did say, "How do we get rid of that fucking hockey mask?"
He openly admitted to that too. I think it's weird how some people have like this weird sort of like thing with Sean Cunningham. Like they feel like he's been a part of the series the entire time, but he jumped ship after the first one.
He's a minor figure in the franchise.
Yeah, well, he's openly said in those documentaries that he didn't agree. Him and Victor both didn't agree with the idea of Jason becoming the killer. Really, the Jason that we all know and love was thanks to like Steve Miner and Frank
Frank
Mancuso
Mancuso Jr.
Jr.
Hmm. Yep.
Those are the people who I think really shaped Friday the 13th. Sean Cunningham was gone for most of it, and then he came back, with Part 9, and arguably delivered some of the worst in the franchise.
Hmm.
Right? So,
And unfairly, in my opinion, Adam Marcus gets the blame for it. I know Adam Marcus kind of personally. We've talked numerous times, and it's not his fault. He was doing Sean Cunningham's bidding.
yeah,
Period.
he was like anyone, like, you're
Well, he was
offered
22 as his first feature film.
yeah,
You know,
anyone is offered to do a Friday 13th film, you're going to take it and
right?
play by the rules, and Adam seems like a very nice guy.
He really is.
Yeah. But like a lot of stuff that you said about Sean Cunningham, I don't understand why people get upset, because most of his stuff that he's openly
Because
admitted
reasons. It's because
to.
reasons. Come on.
Maybe it could have been a separate post other than a happy birthday post to him, but
Well, fuck him. I
really
don't care.
I'm not a big
He'll
fan
never
of Sean
see
Cunningham
it.
anyway.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned that when we talked about the new kids, like I'm not a fan of his work.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's actually why I needed to bring that up. But anyway, we'll talk about Sean Cunningham. The thing is, people hold him up in horror like he's John Carpenter, and let me tell you something: Wes Craven's not even John Carpenter. Just saying. I like Wes Craven. Don't get me wrong.
Now, Sean Cunningham isn't even close to being John Carpenter at all. And another thing too is like, before we move on, just real quick too, is just like a lot of people, when it came to the whole lawsuit thing, everyone kind of was misinformed about the whole thing, kind of jumping into the whole it's Victor's fault when it's
People
Sean's
still think
fault.
that.
He had 2 years to work out a deal, and he was too greedy to do it before the lawsuit even happened. And there was a lot of Friday 13th projects that were being developed and then went away. So there was plenty of time in between doing the 2009 film to when the lawsuit shut everything down. Yeah. Hey, my buddy Josh. Carpenter is the horror king.
Yeah. Sean Cunningham owes everything to Frank Mancuso Jr. and Frank Mancuso and Steve Miner. And even though I'm not a big fan of Friday the 13th Part 4, but, Joseph Zito and all these other directors, like Sean Cunningham and Friday the 13th wouldn't be what it is today without them. So
exactly. Like
he would never thank any of those guys either.
Yeah, and like I'm not even like so much on like Victor Miller's side so much either, because he was another one where he jumped ship after the first one. Like he's openly said in those documentaries he didn't believe in the idea of Jason becoming the killer. So I've been saying for years, give the rights back to Frank Mancuso Jr.
Right?
Because he shepherded in like all the films that we essentially that made us love Friday the 13th, love the brand, love Jason as a character. Without Steve Miner and Frank Mancuso Jr., the series would be nothing. Again, Sean is responsible for arguably the worst ones in the series.
And he is. And Friday the 13th, 1980, the original, is probably one of the most overrated in the franchise. I said it, and I'll say it again. Number 9 is Life Force. And you've not seen this either, from what I understand.
No, I have not, and I own it. I got the Blu-ray a couple years ago because I knew that we were going to be doing a show on it, and I was like kind of putting it off to watch right before we do a show.
We never did that show, did we?
No, we never did.
Oh.
Something came up, and we had to cancel that week or something like that, and then we just kind of never went to it. But so I do own it, and I would like. I probably should have watched it in the meantime, but I kind of wanted to do the thing that I've done before, where I've seen a movie you guys recommended to me right before we do a show.
Yeah, and that happens with me too. Life Force is fun. I think it drags on a little long, but it's about essentially space vampires who stuck out your life force, essentially. And Toby Hooper made this one, and it's unlike any other Toby Hooper movie. Mathilda May here has some of the greatest jugs of all time. And you know me, I love boobs. Well, she walks around naked for half the damn movie, and I'm not complaining. Seth, I'm
Just
telling you, don't watch this with Amber in the room. She's not going to be happy with you.
listen. I'm gonna just interrupt you real quick here. Um, just off topic, real quick. As I was watching The Substance last night, within the first probably like 10 minutes or so, I was like, "Oh, I know why Ray loves this movie."
Yes. Boobies. Did you know that Margaret Qualley's boobs were not real? That was
Oh, really?
yeah, that was not her real boobs. I was looking at them, I was like, those don't look real. Those look fake. Like not fake like, as in, silicone implants, but like a body cast that they did. And it's true. I looked it up, and those aren't her real breasts. And she even mentioned that her family, it was so uncomfortable watching the movie. I'm like, why? You see your ass and your maybe your vag, but you don't see your
Yeah.
boobs. I'm just saying. I think she's going to be huge, by the way, actress wise. I thought she was great. But yeah, dude, I think you'll actually really like Life Force. It's so bizarre. It's like this is Toby Hooper that like his filmography is so eclectic. Like when you think of Toby Hooper, what comes to mind right away?
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Exactly. So you think of movies like that, but you got to remember he was a part of the production of Poltergeist. He may have directed it. Uh, there's a movie called Eaten Alive with a giant alligator. Life
Salem's
Force.
Lot.
There's Salem's Lot. Yeah, he's done so many different things, and this is definitely one of my favorite pieces by him. Was it Freak Show? Was that one of them? Something like that. But this is a great movie. It's a lot of fun. I think it does go on a little too long. I think Patrick Stewart's in this too, but it's really fun. Check it out. If you got this Scream Factory, it's definitely the best version of this.
I think that's the version I do have.
It's good, man. Check it out. When you get a chance to watch it, let me know because I'm definitely curious to know your thoughts. I always love hearing your opinion, even though I just
Yeah.
kind of like do this every time I listen. I'm like, yeah, whatever, Seth.
Hey, I'll be right back.
All right, I'm getting into number 8 then.
Okay.
Which is Friday the 13th. Yeah, part 5, A New Beginning. So Jared, Seth, and Nate all had this at number 9, I think. Or I had it at number 9. Anyway, and somebody had it at number 4. I love this one. Friday the 13th part 5 is definitely underrated. It's definitely not the best. It's not the number 1, the number 2, number 3, number 4. It might be the 5th best movie. And it goes back to the roots of the Sean Cunningham 1980 original that we don't like. But it's a whodunit. You don't know who the killer is. Of course we do because we've seen it 1,000 times and we grew up with these movies. That we know Roy Burns is the killer and he's the father of Joey. Was that his name? Joey? Anyway, and he's getting revenge on all the kids from the home. And that's the movie. But there's a lot of fun. Tommy Jarvis is some kind of kung fu master in this movie. You got Ethel and Junior, and just a lot of boobs in this movie. But I like Roy Burns. I don't know how he has superhuman strength and can bust through doors and shit like that. But I just have so much fun. This is bar none one of the most fun Friday the 13th movies. Now, and I say that because I think Friday the 13th, some of them are kind of bland. And I don't mean any disrespect, but this movie is so much fun. And that's what I get out of this one. It's not the greatest Friday the 13th, but I have so much fun with it. And every time I watch it, I like it a little bit more. What about you? I know you like this one.
Actually, I like this one a lot.
Yeah.
I've always been a defender of it. I can't remember the actor's name, but I actually really like the guy that plays Tommy in it. I think he's
Sean Sheridan. Hey, buddy. Sorry. He was getting to think we were dead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. The actor that plays Tommy, I think, is really good in it.
The John Shepard, I
John
think.
Shepard. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's great.
Like, I just love how badass he is. Like, it just,
Mhm.
the guy just pushing him and he just fucking takes him and like body slams him.
I love it.
Yeah. The whole thing with the reveal being Roy has never bothered me at all.
Me either.
I feel like thematically part 5 kind of goes back to the first one,
Yes.
where it's the parent revenge story, like Josh says, great revenge story.
Yeah.
And then, but it's like thematically similar to Pamela Voorhees, but with someone using the Jason Voorhees legend to execute his revenge against all the people not responsible for his son's death.
It's a copycat.
Right. And I also love the fact that the catalyst of this is a chocolate bar. And that
Come on, say your favorite line.
That's the way you feel. Forget it. Just forget it. But I think you're way out of line.
Yes.
I also love the fact that everyone dies except for the person who actually killed Joey.
Mm-hmm. Right. Pretty much. Yeah. The one bad thing is we never got Tommy as Jason, which is fine because I prefer part 6 and I love Tommy in part 6 quite a bit. So
yeah.
Good deal. But yeah, I think this one's underrated. People hate it because Jason's not in it. Well, you know what? You're kind of wrong. It's a copycat of Jason, but come on. It's I think it's growing in people's hearts a little bit. I will say that. But moving on to number 7 on our little 1985 countdown is Fright Night. How can Fright Night be at number 7? Oh my God. Well, 1985 is fucking stacked. That's how. God love Fright Night. I know you love Fright Night, don't you?
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to explain to you earlier in the day when you were calling me out on my list.
I did. Then I made my own list. I'm like, oh shit, I get it.
Yeah. Well, it's hard because like out of like the 10 that I listed, what was it, like 7 of which are some of my favorite horror films. You know, so but Fright Night is my favorite vampire film.
Period, right?
I love this one.
Yeah. Period. It's your favorite vampire film of all of them.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't have an answer for that question, by the way. You couldn't ask me what my favorite vampire movie is, and I'd be like, oh, Dracula. Maybe. So
yeah,
I'm glad you have one.
Well, I mean, it's hard too because there's so many that I do love. Like I love the Todd Brown and Dracula film. I love the horror of Dracula. I love John Carpenter's vampires. I love the Lost
Dracula
Boys.
72 AD. You love that one? Come on.
Yep. But Fright Night is one that's like it's really fun to watch. I love Roddy McDowell in it as Peter Vincent. I love Chris Sarandon as
this
Jerry.
Cast is outstanding. I mean, everything about it. They're fantastic.
And one of the things that I quote the most is "You're so cool, Brewster."
Yeah.
I say that a lot to Amber.
Fun fact: my nephew looks exactly like Evil.
Oh, really?
No. But I tell my kids, I'm like, look at Seth. My nephew's name is Seth, by the way. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Not you.
Yep.
So it's funny because sometimes I'm like, well, Seth doesn't like this. And they're like, which one? I'm like, my Seth, not your cousin Seth. You're my Seth, by the way. I told you we were going to talk about our love affair. Come on. It's been too long.
Yeah, but I absolutely love Fright Night.
Yeah, me too.
What did Sean say?
Fright Night, I can't stand Charlie, but Jerry is a good villain. It has that suave charm. To him, watch you would not think he's an evil monster or monster of evil. Evil Ed is fun. Yeah, he's you're right. Charlie can be annoying. I get that, but I love it. I like that everybody just come on, Charlie, shut up. I like that about
Yeah.
that. But you're right about that. Fright Night 2 is awesome. Nobody ever talks about it. Maybe we'll talk about it on the Horror Syndicate's Facebook page.
I want to start reading books like The Chicken Fright Night too.
I got to rewatch it because I have no clue what you're talking about.
Okay. Yeah, rewatch it.
Yeah, Fright Night's awesome. By the way, set design is a big thing for me, and Jerry's house is awesome. I love it. Yeah. Plus, before we move on, let's talk about the club scene for a second. I fucking love the club scene and that deep V that only Chris Sarandon can pull off. Come on.
Yeah.
Fright Night's that's where it's at. I wish there was a show like Peter Vincent's Fright Night, like for real. Like I know there were a lot of stuff like that in the 80s and stuff, and Joe Bob does his show, but man, a Vampire Hunter hosting a late night horror-thon, that'd be so cool.
Yeah.
All right, so that's number 7. So number 6 is Demone. See, this is where we're talking about it being a tough year, 1985. Demons is near the top of your list, I think, close to it. It's I think my number 2.
It's number 4 on my list.
Yeah, but it's pretty high on Jared's. Fine. It's at least it's in the top 10. Demons is fucking awesome. Full stop. And we've done 2 shows on Demons. So
yeah. I mean, like I first saw Demons a couple years ago. It was one of those ones that you recommended to me, so I bought the Blu-ray of 1 and 2. I bought them blind. I have no idea what happened to my Blu-rays. I let someone borrow them, and I have no idea who. But
there's the newer set that's got the ticket for the Metropole Theater. I got the ticket stuff. The gold ticket they hand out.
Oh, really?
Dude, you got to get that. Yeah, let me show it to you.
I'm gonna have to rebuy them because I
this is the perfect way to do it. So yeah, this is the set. The ring, sorry. That's the set. And it's got Demons 1 and 2. It's got Sally's birthday invitation, which they're on my wall, otherwise I'd show them to you. But it's pretty nice. I think this is Synapse that put it out. Nice little set. Yep. I do have my original Blu-rays also, but I put them in yellow cases because
Yeah, those were the ones. Those were the ones that I owned that I can't find.
Well, pick on your friend.
I love this. I know how much you love Part 2, but I love and adore Part 1.
I do too, but I just there's something about 1 or 2 that I like slightly better. I think a lot of it has to do with Sally. We got a lead demon who's in the whole movie. I just love the lead up with her, and I like her transformation. And there's some great transformations in the first one as well, but something about Sally's that I just really love. But this this movie, trapped in the movie theater with a balcony, no less. There's a motorcycle in there. The guy looks like Ash from Evil Dead, which he had that look before Ash did, by the way. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, Ash always had the blue shirt all ripped up and shit.
Yeah, this was a year before Evil Dead 2?
2, actually.
2 years.
Oh my God, you've never heard of Demons? Are you fucking for real? Oh, Sean, absolute must. Absolute must. Demons is great, yes. I could go on for this, but we've got 2 shows on Demons. So let's get it. You ready to get in the top 5?
Yes.
Again, stacked. Fucking Re-Animators, number 5. I don't know what to say. I love this movie. I love Herbert West. There's not much about this movie that you can say bad about, in my opinion. I think you like this, don't you?
Oh, I love it. Actually, I showed this to my little brother like maybe a month and a half, maybe 2 months ago, and he loved it too.
Good.
He felt like the scene with the head was a little much, but
oh, come on.
I loved his reaction though when they threw the cat against the wall, because my brother's a cat person. Yeah, Re-Animator is fucking awesome. Jeffrey Combs is fantastic in it as Herbert West.
Yeah.
I love the score, even though it kind of rips off Psycho.
Yeah.
Um,
You're
there's
like,
something
what?
about there's something about Stuart Gordon movies that I just love. I love like his style of filmmaking and
I do
sort of like
too.
the energy that they have, and um, yeah, Re-Animator's a classic.
So, fun fact about Reanimator. There's two fun facts I have. One, I saw it when I was like 5 or 6. My mom, after I saw Elm Street, started renting horror movies for me, and this is one of the first ones she rented, and it scared the living shit out of me. It took me 20 years to watch it again, so I didn't see it again until I was like 25. Second fun fact: when I was 25, I went up. I saw it at a friend's at my brother-in-law's house. Went out and bought it immediately because like, this is one of the most brilliant movies I've ever seen. And then my very first date after my wife passed away, I was with a girl and I said, "What do you want to do?" She's like, "Oh, you got a lot of horror movies. I would love horror. Let's watch an '80s horror movie." I was like, "Okay." She's like, "You pick." I picked this. Never saw her again. So I wonder what happened. I love Reanimator though, and it's a great movie. A great movie from '85 for sure.
Yes.
It is Batcha. And I honestly, Bride of Reanimator, if you have never seen that, tons of fun. Uh, Beyond Reanimator is okay, but Bride is a great addition to the franchise and almost a great extension of the first movie. Dan's back also. Have you ever seen that one?
It's funny because I own all three and I have not seen two or three yet, and
Time to watch
I
them.
almost I almost watched part two after showing my little brother the first one, but I didn't, and then I just kind of put it away with my movie collection. But I gotta pull it out and watch. I'll pull them
Absolutely.
out and watch both of
It's
those.
dude, it's so much fun. I man, I love the second one. It's so crazy. It's more wacky than the first one. Mike Lombardo, uh, I'm Dreaming White Doomsday fame. He actually sent me a copy of it because he found the Arrow copy of it, which I couldn't find around here, and now I have it. So that's just my Arrow original. You okay?
Yep, that little sneeze there.
All right, moving on to number 4. That's number 5. Here's number 4. Day of the Dead. When the Horror Syndicate was founded because of Day of the Dead and Return of the Living Dead. In a horror movie group, I put up the simple question: which 1985 zombie movie do you like better, Return of the Living Dead or Day of the Dead? And it sparked 400 comments in that group, and everybody was in on this. This is how I met Jared. This is how I met Morgan and Brian Enright and all these people that started the Horror Syndicate with me. Because I always defended Day of the Dead as the best zombie movie of all time. And in some ways, I still think that it's dark, it's depressing. It feels like it's the last people on Earth, and it's got one of the biggest assholes in horror history in Rhodes. I love Day of the Dead. What about you?
I love Day of the Dead as well. I think as far as your question goes, it's like you know, which kid is your favorite? Um, it's really tough with those two films. I mean, they're both fantastic. But I love George Romero. Huge fan of his work. I have a lot of his filmography. When it comes to his Dead films, like I love the first four. I think Day is really cool, and it gives us one of the most memorable uh, uh, ghouls of all time with Bub.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I like the underground setting. It took me a while to get used to the score. I think when I first watched it, the score for the movie was a little off-putting.
It's not
Um,
as strong as Dawn of the Dead, that's for sure.
or even Night of the Living Dead. I mean honestly, I like the score for Land of the Dead better. It just felt funky with Day of the Dead, but um, one of my favorite scenes in the movie is when the one soldier guy gets onto that landing pad and brings it down with all the zombies. I love that scene. That's a nice big fuck you.
Yeah.
And then
He,
Rhodes is
he,
memorable.
he was good as
Choke.
gone, so he said, fuck it. Yeah, choke on him. Yeah.
Yeah, the character of Dr. Logan, Dr. Frankenstein,
Mhm.
really really fun character. I
Great
loved every
performance,
time
too.
I love every time he's on screen.
Hmm.
So yeah, Day of the Dead is great. It's for me it's really tough to rank the first four Romero films because the first four for me are just very strong, and I love all four of them. I know a lot of people will probably put Land last, but it's hard for me because I love Land a lot too. I'm an apologist for Land of the Dead, but
I like Land of the Dead. I like it. Not as much as I mean, there's a clear cut favorite for me, which is Dawn of the Dead. Um, but I agree, man. Especially the first three are very like rock solid. The one thing I want to say about this, two things actually. One thing, the first thing is George Romero in character. The characters in each of his films are just these aren't zombie movies, these are dramas more than anything. And they're character pieces. These characters in these movies, all three or four of them, it's there's a lot going on there, and that's the one thing that you gotta kind of look at. Now, once Dawn of the Dead came, of course, they became an effects extravaganza. And Tom Savini, this is the other point, says this is his masterpiece when it comes to effects. And bravo, because boy, oh boy, are the effects
oh
phenomenal
yeah,
in this movie.
oh yeah, absolutely.
Let's see, Nightmare 2, if it's not been on, is my number one horror movie of this. Okay. Well, guess what? Number 3, A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge.
Perfect
Perfect
segue.
timing, Sean. Yeah. That was perfect. Oh, man. Nate has this as number 1, and no complaints here. This was the very first horror movie I saw. I have absolute deep love for this movie. We got to chat with Mark Patton a couple years ago during the pandemic, at the beginning of the decade in 2020, and I don't know. This was my first introductions to the Elm Street franchise, and it's hard to rank them and not put this higher on my list when I know that I like this more than I like Dream Warriors. That's all I'm gonna say. I just love it.
Yeah, I have like I feel like I'm kind of repeating myself with like the Romero stuff here, but I love the first four Elm Street films. Like the first four Elm Street films are so strong to me, and they they all have a personal place in my heart. There's something about the first four, like the look and the feel, the sound, um, are great, and like
Mhm.
Elm Street 2. Um, there's some things I don't particularly care for, like the third act and the resolution of the film. But it's also got a lot of great stuff. I mean, the score from Christopher Young is fantastic. Um, Mark Patton, I think, gives a really strong performance in this. Like,
He does. Doesn't get
the,
enough credit for it.
no, yeah, exactly. The scene where
Neither
his
does
friend,
Kim Myers, really. Is that what you're
right?
gonna say?
No, but I was gonna say like
No.
the scene where his friend died. Like he
Hmm.
was really great in that scene. But yes, Kim Myers is good in it too.
Well, and
Um,
then Jaeger's effects, Freddy.
yeah,
This is where
yeah,
like Freddy's iconic look really came from. Because in the
yeah,
original Elm Street, I mean, we saw, but this was not. The hook nose came from Jaeger. You could see more of the muscles and all that shit, and that's kind of where they went from there on after this. And Freddy looked amazing in this movie.
oh yeah,
Oh, also the sweater.
yeah,
Let's not forget about the
and
sweater's different.
yeah, yeah, because it's got the stripes on the arms now.
Yeah.
Like uh, I have to say too, my favorite scene in the movie is when is the metamorphosis scene. Where
Hmm.
Freddy comes out of Jesse's chest, and
Yeah.
just the way that it's shot. That overhead angle. Whatever, looking down as Freddy kind of like rips
Rises
his way
up.
out.
Yeah.
It, very very awesome effects. Again, the only thing I don't really care for is the resolution. Like Freddy is basically defeated by love. Um,
Listen, that's the power of love. Huey Lewis and
The
the
power
News
of
came out
love,
that same year.
right? And we should have listened.
We should have, because obviously Freddie did, or Jesse. Jesse. Oh, let's not talk about. Let's not forget about his dad, Clu Gulager. What a great
Yeah,
character.
yeah,
I mean, talk about underrated characters in Elm Street movies. Clu Gulager is Jesse's dad. Jesse, I think that kid needs a
yeah,
goddamn methadone clinic. I love that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a. I think this is probably could be the Friday the 13th 5 of the Elm Street franchise. It doesn't get enough respect, and which is a shame because it's actually really good. It's dark. It has
It's.
the.
I
Go
mean,
ahead.
really, it's like the 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 last time that Freddy was really dark. I mean, because after this, with starting with Dream Warriors, not Dream Master, as some people like to say, Dream
Yeah.
Warriors started the trend of the one liners and Freddy, you know, cracking jokes nonstop, and um, yeah, and this had a dark. This actually had a really dark story to it. You know,
Hmm.
Freddy was going to make Jesse kill his sister. you know,
Yeah, I know.
um,
Wake up, little
yeah,
girl. Yeah, his dad is a dick. Yeah, he might be, but I liked his dad. He at least he took the bars off the windows. Come on, and almost fell down the ladder. I love Elm Street too, and yeah, I mean, and of course, it was voted the gayest Elm Street movie. Good, because Jesse and Jordan says he sees Freddy as a manifestation of Jesse's suppressed homosexuality. Yeah, for sure. I mean, he couldn't even make out with a beautiful woman like Kim Myers,
yeah.
who got hired because she looked like Meryl Streep. All right, that was number 3. So, what are we missing from 1985? Not you, Seth. I know you know, but what movies are possibly missing if you've been watching the whole thing? Let's go back through before we get, if you don't mind, Seth. I number 10 is Howling 2, Your Sister is a Werewolf. Number 9, Life Force. Number 8, Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning. 7 is Fright Night. It's the best I could do. Number 6 is Demone. Number 5 is Re-Animator. 4, Day of the Dead. And 3, A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. So what are we missing? Let us know in the comments while Seth tells me what he's thinking about doing for next Werewolf Wednesday.
How about I
Gotcha.
tell you that in a minute? Um, I had 2 cups of coffee and 2 bottles of water before the show, so
Go take a
gotta run to the
piss.
bathroom real quick.
And I'll tell everybody about how tomorrow night
I will.
at 8, 9 Central, no, 9, 8 Central, we are doing our top 30 horror film countdown list here on YouTube, here on Facebook. And it's got movies like Nosferatu, Smile 2's on there, Strange Darling, the Substance, Longlegs, Abigail, Late Night with the Devil. All these movies are going to be in our list somewhere. You just have no clue where they are. You don't know what number 1 is. I do. I know what number 3 is, and 4, and 5, and 2, and 26, and there's some different ones on there. We'll have some honorable mentions in there, movies that did not make our list that, let's just face it, Nate wants to mention, because I don't have any honorable mentions, because as much as people like this year in horror, I did not like a lot of these movies. I did not like Longlegs, and I did not like Cuckoo. I thought Cuckoo was terrible. I thought Strange Darling pissed me off. And I probably won't get a chance to explain that tomorrow because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings or upset anybody, but it pissed me off. And Longlegs just didn't do it for me. It was kind of a blah movie. My favorites were Late Night with the Devil. I like Nosferatu, and The Substance is my number 1. Demi Moore. Yeah, Demi Moore is amazing. She was amazing in that movie. So tomorrow night, I told him 8 or 9, 8 Central, we are starting to do our top 30. It's probably, buckle in, it's probably going to be 3 hours. So Nate's. Do you have any honorable mentions that did make the list? Because Nate's got a couple. I have zero because I was just telling the fine folk at home that I did not care for this year in horror. Hated Strange Darling, the big ones. Hated it. Hated Strange Darling. I did not like Cuckoo. Thought it was a waste of my time, and I did not care for Longlegs. So
I have not seen Long Legs yet, so I can't comment on that.
I think it's. After I was done watching, I was like, "Is that it?" Because I felt like there was something missing. But apparently, it's extremely loved by like a lot of people in the horror world, just like Strange Darling. The thing about Strange Darling, and I know you liked it, but I felt force fed what we were supposed to think. I hate that. They tell us at the beginning of the movie that Kyle Gallner is the demon or something like that, right?
Yeah,
And the lady is the lady or the woman or something. So
yeah.
that's setting us up to think that he's the bad guy, and that she's the good girl trying to get away from the bad guy. And they
I
make
love
it
it.
seem like that, and that's why they tell it out of order to throw you off. And then they subvert your expectations by showing you, oh, that's not the demon. She's the fucking demon. Yeah, well, you're that's a fucking shitty thing to do in the middle of a movie, especially when you're like, oh, I think they're gonna fuck this up, and he's not the bad guy, she's the bad guy. And they did. Fuck that movie for telling us what to think and then changing. That's what they did. They told you what to do. You're supposed to expect this, and we're gonna tell it all broken up in different chapters, like a Quentin Tarantino movie, just to fuck with you, to make it seem like it's better than it actually is, because it's just a regular run of the mill shit movie. That's what I think. I won't be able to say that tomorrow.
So I really
Fuck Strange
enjoyed.
Darling. Sorry.
I love the structure of it. I like that they that they toy with you like that, and it kind of reminded me of not quite in the same way, but uh, the twist in Memento. You know, where like because of Memento, you know, going in reverse. When you first meet Carrie Ann Moss, you think that she's a good character. She's nice to Leonard, and then as the movie gets towards the end of the film, the beginning of the story, you see her for being a manipulator and really an evil person. Well, not really evil, but like, you know, she's not a very nice person. And I kind of like that. But I liked Strange Darling quite a bit.
So that would have been fine, but when she was choked out for the first time and she came back, I was like, oh, she's nasty. She's foul, this woman. But they also should have never said Kyle Gallner is the demon. That's where they fucked up. If they would have left that off there, they should have never put that on there. It changed everything for me. I'm like, you're telling me by calling him the demon, he's the bad guy. That's what you're doing. And it turns out he's a cop. And you find out he was a cop. I'm like, fuck this fucking movie. I don't want to watch it anymore. It's fucking stupid. But I had to finish it. And I thought the ending was terrible. So House is actually released in January 1986. Because I looked, because I love House. And I was like, wait a second. House has got to be on my list. Am I still there, Seth?
Your Rage of Razor
Okay.
thing.
Yeah, I like it said my connection went away or something like that. Yeah, it's this thing old webcam. I need to get a new webcam. It you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So, god damn it. Okay. Anyway,
Yeah, and I will probably have like a couple of honorable mentions. I think there was a couple of things that didn't make our 30 list.
how many
I
of them
feel like,
werewolf movies?
to be honest with you, out of the 10 werewolf movies I've seen of 2024, I only like 3. 7 of the 10 were in the bottom 8 of my list because they're terrible fucking movies. So I would
I
say
can't
there's
get it.
not so much a bias there from me.
It won't let me start my camera at all.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm gonna back out and come back in. Hold
Okay.
on. Look at that. Some class from Sean. All right, let me I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah, and so this upcoming Wednesday, I will be returning to do the Werewolf Wednesday shows. I stopped a while back as I was kind of working through some stuff. But I am planning on coming back for it. I'm probably going to do the two choices that I'm thinking for this upcoming Wednesday. One is I'm going to rank all the werewolf films of 2024 that I've seen. That'll give me time to watch. Like, I think there's like 2 more that I can watch, so I can have a list of 12. And so I'm either going to do that, or I'm going to talk about a Paul Naschy werewolf film called The Werewolf and the Yeti, aka Scream of the Howling Beast, I think it is the other title. So I'm going with either of those two options. And then the week after that, I believe I should be able to do a review of The Wolfman, the new film from Lee Winnall. So that is the plan going forward for Werewolf Wednesday. For those who are interested, yeah, I'll pull up some comments while I wait for Ray. Sean says, I'm sure Seth was happy about the Wolfman trailer. I might see it in theaters. February is a stacked month for me. Yeah, so man, I've been conflicted on the marketing for the new Wolfman. I think the movie looks good to a certain extent, but I don't know about the design. I'll just have to wait to see it in action. But yeah, it comes out next week, I think. So I will do a Werewolf Wednesday show on that when that comes out.
I'm back. Sorry.
Jolene says, I was so disappointed in werewolves. Ray's right there with you. I love werewolves. I thought it was a fun B movie. It's a fun B movie, man.
That's exactly what it is. A B movie. I hate totally to say. Can you hear me? I don't know if you can hear me or not.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I mean, I can see why you liked it, and but it reminded me of something from 2 decades ago. Kind of an action werewolf movie, like Resident Evil, is what it reminded me of. But
yeah,
it's all good. Are you gonna do an actual your top 100 on the Werewolf Wednesday? I know that's a big episode if you do. Maybe break it up into 4 parts or something like that.
That'd be huge. Here's another thing though, is I had my list, updated list of 100.
Don't tell me. Don't tell me.
I had my updated list of 121 werewolf films on my old computer, which
the
hard drive just crashed. So I may be able to, I don't know. I may be able to recover some of it because
Google Docs, my friend. Google Docs.
I know. What's funny because I use
you can do it anywhere.
I use the document on my phone to get my 2024 horror list. I almost did my werewolf list too, and I said, nah, it'll be fine. And yeah, so like I may be able to recover if I like log back into like my Facebook at some point, and I can do a search, and I think I posted before, like when I had like 106. So then I just have to try to remember what I've seen since then. But
I think what I do, and I know everybody uses like I think it's Letterboxd or whatever, but I pull up a Google Drive every time I do a list, and you probably can't see it, but like every year I start on a list of the movies I watch. 2025 horror movies, 2024 horror movies, and I also have all the horror movies I've ever viewed on there. It's just in my Google Docs, and I can open it up on my laptop, my Chromebook, my tablet, or my phone, just in case I have a way to get to it.
I mean, I should have known better. Like I should have like backed up a lot of stuff. Like,
no, I mean you did the same thing I did because my laptop is dying. It's on life support itself. I'm gonna have to pull everything off of it. Luckily I have most of my comic files in Dropbox and then on Google Docs. So, yeah, if I don't use Word again, I probably won't use Dropbox as much. But anyway, I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, I mean, I mean, that was the thing too, is where like I did a significant amount of work on issue 6, on the script for issue 6 of Dragonfly, and that's gone. Um, so
Yeah, well,
I have
the
to
best
start
part
over.
is something like that happened to me on Phantom Hawk 3, and I was like, son of a bitch, I'm 18 pages in, and I had my complete outline for issue 4, and it's gone. And I was rocking and rolling that night, and I had to start over from fucking page 1, panel 1, and I did, and I kicked out an even better issue. So, you know, it was a lot of the same stuff, but I ended up rocking and rolling and getting it better. So,
Yeah.
yeah, hopefully that'll be a similarity of yours. I've been wanting to stream 80s TV show about where, oh, that. Just buy it like Seth. Seth, if you can't spark something out about werewolves without Seth knowing about it. I'm just saying.
Well, this is a
Honestly.
bootleg. This is
Oh,
from the guy that we go
oh,
through,
okay.
because the series has there's like rights issues because of music used
Right.
in it, so they had to pull all the physical release that they had, and so you can watch all the episodes on YouTube. I know this guy that does these really good bootleg Blu-rays, and he used like AI to do some uh, touching up, like to digitally enhance it. So yeah, I love this series. I think this series is fucking awesome. I actually haven't finished it yet. I gotta finish it. I'm like halfway through it, but it's awesome.
All right. So let's finish our list here. Take it to the shop. See if they can recover the file. That's a good.
That'll be
My buddy Richard could probably help you out, but he lives here. You live in fucking North Dakota. I know you don't live in North Dakota. I'm just joking. By the way, what would you think if I moved up your way? I heard it's cheap to live up there.
Hey, do it, man.
I heard it's inexpensive.
I don't know
That's
how
I sent you a text. You didn't even answer me the other day. Me and my kids were watching like this YouTube channel. It's all like the worst places in the U.S. to live, the best places in the U.S. to live, all this different stuff. And one of them was what's the whitest state in the United States, meaning the most white people, and yours is one of them. That's why I asked you that question. Anyway,
yeah.
Anyway, no, but me and my kids were thinking about. I was like, what we should do? We should just leave the area that we're in, because I didn't want to be here. This is not my choice. This is because of family. Like, when you guys get out of high school, if you want to hang in with me, why don't we move to another state? And Reynolds was like, where does Seth live? And I was like, I think he lives in north southeast Dakota.
Vermont. But you're
I know
close.
Vermont. But I didn't want to say that, and then he posts something. I know we've talked about it before, but I didn't want to, like Nate's very secretive about his schedule and everything. I didn't want to tell him your address is at 1428 Elm, and no, that's not his address. That'd be awesome if it was. Yeah. Anyway, back to our list. Finally, number 2. Speaking of werewolf movies, Silver Bullet, my favorite werewolf movie. Seth's favorite movie of 1985. Horror film, anyway. So
it's one of my.
I get a lot of shit for this being my favorite werewolf movie. People make fun of it because of the werewolf, but the story, and Nate, of course, during our commentary made fun of it, said it was like a movie of the week or whatever, but like, or after school special. But I love this movie. The story leading up to it is fucking phenomenal. Everything with Corey Haim and his sister and the Reverend Lowe, and how you find out he's the werewolf, is so good. So I was trying to think of like something I don't like about it, but like, if anybody can rag on the werewolf looking like a teddy bear or whatever, I like it. I like the way the werewolf looks. What about you?
Okay, so this movie is not my favorite werewolf film, but it's my top 10,
Yes.
right? Um, Silver Bullet is a movie. Is another one that I grew up with. Like my
Yeah.
parents had the VHS. I watched the crap out of it. You know, Gary Busey was always one of my favorite characters. I love Everett
Piss
McGill's.
on the Yankees, piss on the Phillies. I can't say the
Yeah,
other one.
I'm gonna send a letter to Reverend Werewolf. Tell him to choke on glass. I can't remember the exact line, but yes, Silver Bullet. It's again, it's not my favorite werewolf film. It's not even my top 5, but it's definitely my top 10. And it's a movie I grew up with. It's a movie that I love. The look of the werewolf is a little funky, sure, in the face, but it never really bothered me that much. I just think overall, as a whole, this movie is it's really good. It's
Yeah.
entertaining. It's got likable characters. I think it's got some really good, really kind of good horror moments too. I mean, the one scene with the chick getting attacked in the bedroom there, the chick that was gonna do all the pills, like
Mm-hmm.
really good scene.
I mean, the werewolf did her a favor if she was wanting to go to heaven,
Right.
technically.
Yeah. And yeah, so you know, I have a big love for Silver Bullet. Um, I also love the novella Psycho the Werewolf. I actually did an article on the Horror Syndicate's website where I kind of talked about the similarities and differences between Psycho the Werewolf and Silver Bullet. Um, yeah, it's awesome. Um,
And just to kind of piggyback off what you say about some great horror scenes, let's talk about a couple of them real fast, or just go through them. The scene in the church, which is of course not an actual moment in the movie, it's a
oh,
nightmare.
right,
Awesome.
that dream,
Everybody
yeah, that
turns,
was really
yeah,
cool.
that's such a
Torn
great horror scene.
pieces.
Yeah, the scene out in the fog,
Yep.
when they're hunting the werewolf and he's just kind of picking them off. That's such a great horror scene. The scene on the bridge
Yep.
is with Corey Haim and the firework, and then of course the scene at the end when he's outside. They can't tell where exactly he is, and finally, there are some really great horror moments in this movie, and I
Well,
think that gets overlooked.
yeah. Well, I mean, even the scene where it's just I can't remember his name. The Reverend um, was it
Reverend
Reverend Lowe?
Lowe.
Yeah. When he's kind of following Marty and Marty um,
Oh
is
yeah,
chased inside that closed bridge or the covered bridge there. Um, really good, intense moment, I thought. Um,
I agree. There's a
I
lot
think
of that in this movie.
and then also like the drunk father, the oh that hurts my parts that guy
Yeah,
when
yeah.
he
Watching
when
wrestling.
he goes into the greenhouse or whatever and he gets killed in there. Good intense moment. Yeah, the movie's full of good stuff, good horror related stuff. I understand where it's not like the best directed film of all time, but like I think it achieves what it needs to as far as the atmosphere.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit underrated, but that's just me. I wanted to mention something. While during our hiatus, I watched a lot of YouTube, and I found this great YouTube channel I want you guys to check out. He does a lot of lists and he does a lot of horror reviews, and I'm going to drop it in the chat with my own personal YouTube channel. It's the Cobwebs channel. If you've never heard of it, guy does a lot of great work. Check him out. He's been reviewing all of the Christopher Lee Hammer films and just did his top. I think he did 20 of the 2024 year. Big vampire fan. If you haven't checked him out, check him out. And Seth, I don't know. Have you ever heard of? I think I can never remember his name, but he just did a whole episode on the history of the Wolfman. I wanted to send it to you last night, but it was awfully late when when I watched it, so I
Oh,
didn't.
yeah, send that to me. As far as the other one that you
Easy
mentioned,
World.
the cobwebs one, I think I think that's the one I watched where he did one. He had like a video where he ranked all the Paul Naschy
Yes,
werewolf films.
he's a big fan of those. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I actually
Yep.
just watched that like 2 weeks ago.
And Seth will be happy to know 3 more Universal movies to go, but Wolfman is number 1 at the minute. Werewolf of London number 2. I prefer Dracula and Frankenstein. So, Sean, let me ask you. My favorite part in Werewolf of London was when he turns into a wolf in his house and he's getting ready to go out the door, but he stops to put his scarf and his hat on. I love that scene for some reason. It's just dumb, really. It's like, why? Why did he just do that? Like, I love it though. But yeah, Werewolf of London's a lot of fun. Keep watching. The part where his sister is collecting
Yes.
keys in the garage. Yeah, that's where.
That was
anyway.
That's a good intense scene too.
Check out the Cobwebs channel. Great lists. So number 2, great. I think all these, the top 10, even our honorable mentions are really 1985. When we talk about the decade of the 1980s, from 1980 to 1989, has some really good. Like 81's a great year. 84 is a pretty solid year. 87, 88. I think 85 could be the best year of the 1980s. It's pretty close. So what I want to propose to you, Seth, before we get to number 1, is we try to do our top 10, and I'll get Nate and Jared to also, if they will do it, put their lists in, and we'll have that combined list because I like those. But we'll do all 10 years of the 1980s and then rank all the years of the decade at the end of that. What do you think of that? Are you in?
I'm totally in. I think
that'd be fun.
Yeah, I mean, you're already going to know my number 1 of 1981. Actually, my number probably 1 and 2.
It's going to American Werewolf in London and Howling. Is Howling going to be number 2?
Most likely, I'll take a look at what else came out that year, but
that's the big slasher year. I mean, I can't even tell you what my number 1 would be because I'm not a big fan of those 81 slashers. That My Bloody Valentine, The Burning, and The Prowler. They all came out in 1981, and Friday the 13th Part 2, of course. Halloween 2. I mean, there's a lot of slashers that came out that year, so it's going to be an interesting one. You want to just do that one next?
Huh?
You want to just do that one next?
We can. I mean, if you want to jump around, or we could.
Yeah, just jump around. Do you want to do year by year? I mean, because we just have to go back to 1980. Then let's just do 1980. Let's do that. We'll go year to year, and then we'll skip 1985 because we're in that right now. We're in 1985 right fucking now.
But we're doing it because the premise of this episode was, hey, these are films that are turning 40.
Yeah, because I was going to be like, oh, we could do movies that are turning 30, and we still can, but there's not many. Like, let me pull up my list of horror movies I've seen. And if we talk about movies that, let's see, hold on. How about a movie that turns 90 this year? Can you guess what I'm talking about? A movie Sean needs to watch.
Bride of Frankenstein.
Yes, and Werewolf of London also turned 90 this year. I don't have one for turning 80 or Revenge of the Creature, 1955. 1965, I've got Die, Die, My Darling, a Hammer film. 1975, in a great decade of horror, there's only a few. There's Autopsy, Night of the Seagulls, Jaws, and Deep Red, Wolf Guy, The House of Exorcism, The Devil's Reign, The Suspicious Death of a Minor, Strip Nude for Your Killer. Great movies. But of course, the best one is Jaws. We're not even going to discuss that. But as far as, let's see, 1995, these are based off the ones I've seen, just so you know. I know what you're thinking. But I believe it was 94.
No, well, it was December of 94 that it premiered at a festival, but it was released everywhere else in February of 95.
But everything says 94 on it, though.
Right.
And if it was Wonder what we're talking about, The Mouth of Madness, a great fucking John Carpenter film. I knew that's where you're gonna go.
Yep.
But
Yep.
if we include that, which we probably will be able to, but we've got Halloween 6, Lord of Illusions was a good one.
Oh, fucking,
Candyman Farewell to the Flesh, which in my opinion was pretty damn good.
I dig it.
Children of the Corn 3, Cruel Jaws, Castle Freaks, Species, Tales from the Hood, Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Next Generation, Village of the Damned. We probably could do a top 10 list here. The Prophecy, Vampire in Brooklyn, if you count 7, which Nate kind of turned me around on. So that's 1995. And then let's see, 2005. Let's see. Oh my God. I have 3 movies, 4 movies, 5, 6. Okay, I got like 10. Okay. An American Haunting, not a good movie. An Amityville Horror remake, shit. Cursed, a werewolf movie. The Descent, excellent film. Both Exorcist prequels.
Yeah.
The Exorcism of Emily Rose. Not John Carpenter's The Fog, excuse me. Hellraiser, Hellworld, Hellraiser Deader, Hostel, House of Wax, Land of the Dead, Return of the Living Dead, Necropolis, Return of the Living Dead, Rave to the Grave, Feast, The Ring 2, Saw 2, Wolf Creek, Constantine, Boogeyman, The Devil's Rejects. That's a lot, actually. And the funny thing is, you'll notice a couple of franchises had 2 movies come out in the same year: The Exorcist, Return of the Living Dead, and what was the other one? Hellraiser.
Yeah.
What a year. And we'll look 10 years ago, which is hard to believe 2015 was 10 years ago, but you've got Crimson Peak, excellent film, Deathgasm. This is right around when we were getting ready to start the Horror Syndicate. Holy cow. Deathgasm, The Final Girls, Goosebumps, Insidious Chapter 3, Dude Bro Massacre 3, Dude Bro Party Massacre 3, Krampus, Maggie, Paranormal Activity, The Ghost Dimension. I like that one. The Poltergeist remake, Sinister 2, not very good. The Visit, underrated. Volumes of Blood, indie film. We Are Still Here. I think that's Barbara Crampton in it. The Witch, Tales of Halloween. The Woman in Black 2, not as good as the first one. Bone Tomahawk, good movie. Beyond the Gates, Prometheus. I Spit on Your Grave. Green Room, The Autopsy of Jane Doe. No, that's 2016. So we could technically do 10 years ago. That'd be fun anyway. Just do that. I think maybe not list them, but like, this is what came out 10 years ago. This is what came out. Blah blah blah. That'd be fun.
Yep.
I think we could do that. We got tons of ideas for shows. We still have franchises we have not completed. We still haven't completed this fucking list. So,
I know.
all right, let's just get on with it. Are you guys ready? Does anybody know what number 1 is on our top 10 of 1985? Anybody have any guess? I'll let you guess before I pop it up on the screen, and then we'll be done for the night. What do you think it is, Seth? Ghoulies?
I think
What's a movie that came out in 1985 that's not horror?
oh Jesus.
No, I think Clue came out in 1986. Oh, just kidding. All right, let's just give it to him. Come on.
Yeah.
Return of the Living Dead is our number 1 movie from 1985. How could it not be? This is the most fun zombie movie of all time.
It's probably one of the most fun movies, period, of all time.
Yeah, I think I could agree with that. Well, tell us what you think of Tarman and Return of the Living Dead.
I think this movie is a fucking blast from beginning to end. It is a July 4th watch every year. And then other days, of course, within a year too. I watch this film multiple times a year. I just think this movie is it's the definition of fun. And it's got a great score. I love the ending too. The idea of the military just nuking the whole place.
Yeah.
It's great. It's brilliant. It's fun. I love Clue Gulder. his performance is great in it, and my favorite character in this is Ernie. I think he's a lot of fun. Yeah, this movie just kicks a lot of ass, and no other film in the franchise has even come close to this. I have some love of. I like 2, okay. I do like 3 a lot, but it still doesn't come close to this. I've seen 4. It's not really good. I haven't seen Rape to the Grave, and I have no faith whatsoever in the new film that they're going to put out based on that nothing burger of a trailer they released. Yeah, Return of the Living Dead though is fantastic. I huge fan of it. Yeah, and it's a must watch.
There's not much I can say to tack onto that. It's a great movie, so much fun. I didn't see this one much growing up. I saw it when I was a kid, and then I revisited it while I was helping my brother-in-law build a desk in like 2004, 2005 at his new apartment, and I brought it over because I just bought it. I was like, man, I haven't watched this forever. Needless to say, the desk did not get built because we just watched Return of the Living Dead, and just fucking we're like, I looked, I'm like, I kind of want to watch it again, and he's like, yeah, me too. We watched it again.
Yeah.
So I've never done that. Watched too well. That's not true. When I was a kid, I did that shit all the time. But like as an adult, I've never watched a movie back to back after seeing it. Which is funny because that to me is a tell. There's two tells of a great movie. If you watch something for the first time, you're like, I need to own that. That tells you right there. That's a great movie for you. When I saw The Substance, I was like, yep, that needs to be in my collection. Late Night with the Devil, that needs to be in my collection. Last Voyage of the Demeter needs to be in my collection. Stuff like that, And that's probably how you felt about Werewolves and Blackout. Needs to be in your collection.
I got Blackout.
I'm sure you do. Technically, you have Werewolves also. So,
and they just finally did the pre-order for the Blu-ray, so I ordered that.
Does it come with a digital copy?
Yes, it does.
Oh my! Are you gonna send it to me?
You want it?
Sure. That's what. So the thing about Werewolves is it's not terrible. It's not. It's fun to watch. It's a fun action movie, but it's a B movie. And when I went to rank it, I was like, I can't put this above this, and this, because to me in my head, it's just these are so much better. But Werewolves is fun. I love Frank Grillo. Okay. That motherfucker's almost 60, ripped out of his mind. Out of his mind.
And he's playing a physicist. He's the Dr. Christmas Jones.
Well, that's one of the cool things about the idea of this movie was that they're trying to work on a cure for lycanthropy or whatever. I don't remember what they called it in the movie, but it kind of goes back to one of the Wolfman sequels when the one doctor was all he wants to do is cure Lawrence Talbot. So there's a lot of fun there, but they're like somewhere in the middle. I'm like, okay, this reminds me of a mid 2000s action movie. That's where it felt like to me. And for you, that's great. For me, I was like, when I'm making a list of the best movies of the year, it just didn't make high on my list for the best horror movies of the year. And I have Strange Darling ahead of it because of the fact that Strange Darling is actually a really well-made movie, and there are things about it I do like. I just hate that we're spoon-fed what to think going into it. That bothers me. And then they shuffled everything to make it there. It just seems like they're trying very hard to make you think one way so they can pull the rug out from. That's why Strange Darling fell so far on my list. But yeah, Werewolves is not terrible, and I would recommend any werewolf fan to watch it because I do think, and honestly, going back to Blackout, I know we're supposed to be talking about Return of the Living Dead, but I do think Blackout and Werewolves are two of the best werewolf movies that we've seen in a long time. I'm talking going back to Late Phases? Yeah, it has to be one of the two best werewolf movies since Late Phases, and even going further back, probably since Bad Moon. I mean, you don't get a good werewolf movie very often, in my opinion. Because the last one I watched before this, I think that was newer, was Werewolf Castle.
You're welcome for that, buddy.
Yeah, and that was just not good. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'll recommend Werewolves. It's just not gonna be high on my list. But yeah, anyway, sorry.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Uh,
werewolves
Blackout's
is
on Tubi, by the way, if anybody hasn't seen it.
yeah. Uh, werewolves, I think it's just like when I did my list, it was all about like rewatchability. So there's a movie that I think is probably one of the best directed films of the year, but it's not my number one on my list because I don't think I could rewatch it again.
Oops,
And
sorry.
um,
They changed some
so
things since I've been on here.
so I went by rewatchability. Werewolves is a B movie, 100%. Like it's some of the writing isn't great. Some of the editing is very poor. It's got a big concept, but with a small budget, they can't really fully realize their concept. So you only see like a part, like this, like one little street of the world. You know, you know.
Yep, forgot Ginger Snaps. Sorry, that's a good one.
Uh, I know you don't like Dog Soldiers, but Dog Soldiers is great as well.
I'm off that. I don't like Dog Soldiers because I haven't seen it now in 20 plus years, so I can't even say. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But yeah, you know,
Barbara Crampton was hot. She's still hot.
yeah, she was in Blackout.
Blackout for a moment, but yeah.
Yep.
I
have a theory on that. I have a theory that she was the werewolf that bit Charlie. That's my opinion. That's my theory.
Maybe we'll get a sequel. Is that a Tubi original?
No, I don't know.
I was gonna say because they keep coming out with a couple of originals, and then if that was a Tubi original, that's one of their better ones. But Back to the Future. There we go. One of the best movies in 1985. Thank you. That's not a horror movie.
Yeah.
Werewolves is on Tubi. I don't think so. I had to borrow Seth's Prime account for that. Oh, shouldn't have said that.
It's too soon for that. Blackout is on Tubi. There is a Tubi original called Bite, Byte. It's one of the worst films of the year. It's a terrible werewolf film. But yeah.
So yeah, we'll have fun tomorrow. Definitely talking about our top 30 of 2024. We said 1985. Oh my god. So Seth, what do you think of our 1985 list here?
I think it's pretty solid, and it was funny too because like when you mentioned doing tonight's show on films that were turning 40 this year, I was like, I had like a brain fart. I was like, well, do you have a list of movies? And then I was like, oh, duh, 1985. So I looked up and then I just saw and I was like, man, there's some really good ones here. And like, again, out of the 10 that I listed, 7 of which are some of my favorites of all time, like Fright Night, Silver Bullet, Demons, Return of the Living Dead, Day of the Dead, Re-Animator. Like, so it was really hard to kind of like try to rank them. But 85 was a pretty good year for horror.
Yeah,
a lot of good stuff came out of it. I think the one I'm going to struggle with is 83.
Yeah, there's a couple of years of the 80s, like 1980. I don't know if it has. It may not. We may struggle with that one, and 83 for sure, because there was like I think 84 is kind of lacking also, but 85, 86, 87, 88, and 89, I don't think we'll have any trouble with, or 81 for that matter. But 1980, like I was trying to think of things earlier, and I got The Shining and Friday the 13th, and John Carpenter's The Fog. Yeah, I mean, there's some good ones in there, but I know for me, there are in 80 and 81, especially, there are a lot of Italian horror movies that are going to be able to fill, some of those blanks for me. But Seth, if there's any takeaway from this for you, I would definitely recommend you check out The Stuff.
Okay.
because you have not seen that, and of course, our number 9, Life Force. Because I actually think you'll like both of them. The stuff you like, Night of the Creeps, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's fun
Night of the
movie.
Creeps
Good romantic.
is not. It's not a. The stuff is bad. Is worse, but it's fun. There's a lot. There's some '80s cheese. The stuff like it's this alien substance which you find out at the beginning of the movie, but these people market it as some kind of like ice cream thing, and it's in these little like they almost looks like oh, what is that shit called? Cottage cheese comes in those like it looks like a cottage cheese container, and it's like it's purple and brown. It says the stuff. It says enough is never enough with the stuff, and everybody gets addicted to it. It's just a fun, silly, kind of wacky '80s movie with some shitty effects, but that are just great in my opinion. Plus, it's got Michael Moriarty, so it's a fun movie. I think you'll like it. If you do watch it, seriously, watch that. Watch Night of the Creeps, and then watch The Blob. I think those 3 movies work well together. Shit, I used to do when the Horror Syndicate started double feature Fridays. Like I would say, watch these 2 movies today, even though nobody paid attention because we had like 5,000 followers. Now we got 66,000. Yes, we are not dead yet. But let's go back through our top 10 of 1985. Fun list, fun episode. Glad to be back. Glad to see your beautiful face. Number 10, The Howling 2 or Howling 2. Number 9, Life Force. Awesome movie, awesome boobs. Number 8, Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning. Seth, give me your line.
Well, if that's the way you feel, forget it. Just forget it. But I think you're way out of line.
Number 7, Fright Night. Go ahead.
You're so cool, Brewster.
There we go. All right. Number 6, Demons. Great fucking movie. Number 5, Re-Animator, and they only get better as we go. Day of the Dead's number 4. A Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Freddy's Revenge is number 3. 2 is Silver Bullet. And number 1 is Return of the Living Dead. Just like us, we have returned, and we are the living alive. I guess. I don't know. We're not dead. But tomorrow night, don't forget, we will have 30 movies from 2024. And I will guarantee that if you watch the episode, you will not know about 6 of them. You'll never have heard of them. And the funny thing is, I posted a couple of them on the Horror Syndicate page, and nobody even commented on it, so I deleted it. That's a Nate Milliner type of movie. Something that nobody's ever seen or will watch. I hate to say that, but it's true, and you know it. God love Nate though. He watches some of the stuff, so we don't have to. I think he got into the 60s again this year with horror movies. I got to 40, and I'm like, I'm out. 40's enough for me. But we'll be back tomorrow with that episode. I think we're going to be doing Discourse again on Sundays or every other Sunday. I'm not sure. Jared works double shifts on Sundays, and I don't want to do any other night of the week for that show. So we may have Jared every other week, but it might be me, Seth, and Nate on most Sundays. Seth is talking about coming back for Werewolf Wednesday starting this upcoming Wednesday, which I know you guys have missed, and the people who are not watching that watch that show have definitely missed that show. And then 45th anniversary of the original Friday the 13th. Guess what else's 45th anniversary it is this year? Me! I'll be 45 in May. And The Shining. But we'll do a top 10. That's the next list we're going to do. Top 10 horror movies of 1980. And what do you think? Tuesday next week, Seth? Is that good? What do you think?
Yeah, that works for me.
I can't do Thursdays because I got dinner with my friends on Thursday, every other Thursday night. And next week is one of those nights. So maybe Tuesday we'll come back with the top 10 of 1980 if we can find 10. If not, we'll do 5. I don't know. I'm sure we'll figure out a way to go through 1980. But remember, tomorrow, top 30 of 2024. Ugh, it's hard to say. And if you haven't Go on to the Facebook page to check it out. We've been doing the brackets. Today it's the Terrifier 3 versus the Substance. The Substance was a million times better, but Terrifier 3 is going to win because Terrifier bombers came in and they didn't even like the fucking page. They couldn't even be decent enough to follow the Horror Syndicate. That drives me nuts. It's like, at least like the page or follow the page. No, we're just going to come in and make sure Terrifier wins because we're assholes and beats everything else. I mean, seriously. And you know how we've done those votes. We've never seen over 1,000 votes on one, and we've had 5,000 on one of them. So it got bombed by Terrifier fans. All of them. It beat out Nosferatu. It beat out, I know you put it higher than Nosferatu on your list, but it beat out that. It beat out the Substance. It beat out so many movies. And I'm not going to sit here and say a Terrifier 3 is terrible. I liked it enough. I think it was number 8 on my list, but it's not the best film of the year. So thank you, Trekopedia. He's happy. We're happy to be back. Anyway, yeah, that's it, Seth. It's great seeing you, man.
Yeah, you too.
It's good to be back. It feels good. It feels right.
Yeah, definitely. I've been kind of wanting to come back for a little bit anyway.
You know, the reason I wanted to come back today, honestly, and it wasn't for this, it was for this 3 years ago today, we did our Defending Superman Returns episode on my other channel. I saw that. I was like, oh, that'd be fun. We'd do something like that. But then you were like, what's the topic? And I was like, yeah, I want to do horror because I want to do something to get our horror people knowing that we're back. But one of these days we'll have to get back. And we never did Man of Steel. And we got Superman, James Gunn's Superman coming out this year, and I'm beyond excited about that. And that's definitely something we're gonna have to dig deep and talk about at some point. Maybe instead of doing a horror show on one of our nights that we do this, we'll do get back to talking about some of that stuff on my page, just for us, even though nobody really watches that stuff.
You know I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Yeah, and Superman and Lois just ended, which I plan to watch at some point. I'm in the middle of rewatching Superman the animated series right now. So,
ooh, where are you at?
Bizarro episode was the last one I watched, season 2.
Oh, season 2 is so fucking good, man.
It is. Yeah, I watched the Justice League and Justice League Unlimited not too long ago, and I got hooked on this Watchtower channel on YouTube. And like I've been obsessing over all these animated shows, and I was like, I need to go back through Superman. It's been a while, so and I kind of want to get back to watching Justice League. I'm telling you, Seth, you have got to watch Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. So fucking good, so good. Yeah, I mean they nerfed Superman a little bit. Yes, Watchtower Database, love those guys over there. But they do nerf him early on. But by season 2 is superb. And then when you get to Justice League Unlimited, it's they add in more team members, like Green Arrow and me and my daughter are in season 2 of Arrow, by the way. We've been watching Arrow again.
Oh,
and she loves Arrow.
Awesome.
Yeah, Slade just finally showed up.
Top tier.
Top tier. Yep. It's funny though. I think season 2 is the best for all of the shows. I think it was the best Flash show. I think it was the best for the Legends of Tomorrow. I don't know about Superman Lois. I also believe it was the best Supergirl season of the ones I saw. I saw through season 4, I think. So I think they all stop at 2 and then kind of start to gradually decline, because Arrow was decent, but it just kept going down and down. And I know the Flash did too.
Well, it's funny because like Superman and Lois, like I love all 4 seasons.
Yes.
Season 2 isn't the best of that show.
No, Halloween 3 was 82.
82. Yep.
Yeah, I definitely want to watch. I did see the end of Superman and Lois, but I'm going to watch it. I love Argento. Inferno's my favorite. The Stuff is fantastic. Any movies in the Stuff? I don't think so.
You say you saw the ending of Superman and Lois?
Yeah, I know how it ends.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, Tyler Hoechlin is the only one. They're like really the only Superman actor who got like kind of
an actual send-off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, nah, I don't know. Brandon Routh kind of gets a send off, but like I got to be honest with you, man. Like when I saw that James Gunn Superman trailer, I was so excited. I was like, okay, this is going to be fun. But I like then I went and I think I sent it to you, my ranking of all the Superman suits. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, looking at all the three suits that they put Brandon Routh in total. I'm like, boy, were we fucking robbed. We were robbed.
Yeah.
Like
I
one
love
shit movie.
I love the crossover suit, the one where he had the Kingdom Come logo.
Well, even so, at the end of that episode, he's got the James Gunn Kingdom Come logo in yellow and red, and he's
Yep.
flying by doing that little smirk at the camera like Chris Reeve, and it's like
no one complained about that
nope.
that symbol at all, and then all of a sudden when James Gunn does it, it's a problem.
I know. I wish James Gunn. I mean, which James Gunn? There's a couple things I wish James Gunn would do. Give us a Brandon Routh TV show. He will not do that. But I also wish that he'd give Bruce Timm the keys to the animated kingdom and let him continue what they were doing on Justice League. Give us a Green Lantern show, give us another Superman show, another Batman the Animated Series type, and just continue the Timmverse. Because I'm watching this stuff, and this is the highest of high that's not comics for DC, in my opinion. So, anyway, this is a horror channel.
Superman the Animated Series, though, like season 3, the final season, man, that ends on a really dark note. I forgot all about that until I watched it. And then season 2 has that amazing 2-part episode with Darkseid, and
so that's why you need to watch Justice League, because even Justice League Unlimited leaves off on a really great note. Plus, there's if you like Batman Beyond, there's a great episode for that. So look, I bought my son that shirt for Christmas, and now I need one. So
I got it. Yeah,
I know you do, you son of a bitch. And then Bruce Timm's a moron. Just saying.
Wasn't Bruce Timm involved with that newest Batman cartoon?
I believe he was. I watched only 4 episodes of that, and it was good. It's just like I couldn't. What is she doing up there? I just couldn't like. It couldn't keep my interest. I guess I had no problem with it, but yeah. So I definitely would like to get on my other channel, Rage of Razor on YouTube, or just Ray Merrick. I think I changed it because it's my email, my actual professional email is attached to that YouTube channel. So every time I send an email out, it says from Rage of Razor. So I had to change it. What are you gonna do? I needed a job, and I couldn't have that as my RWM 33 or whatever at Rage of Razor. But anyway, let's wrap this up. I got to get going to bed because I got to work in the morning.
Yeah, same here.
Back to work. And we'll be back tomorrow. And it's going to be a long episode. I'm just going to warn you all. I keep saying, hey, let's keep it 2 hours. It's going to be more than 2 hours. I know it. Because once we get to talking, we get to talking. So honestly, I was hoping this would be an hour. It's almost 2 now.
Oh, I know. And like tomorrow, I think it's going to be long, especially because based on all of our lists, right? I've seen all of our lists now.
Thank you. Yeah.
We are all so fucking different, and we all have so many different opinions. So
I think more so than any other year too.
This is the most well, exactly. Like I think this is the most like sort of divisive year for us. Not divisive
in a bad way, yeah.
In a bad way, but it's just because a movie that you love, one of us other ones doesn't love, and vice versa. Like a movie that I have at number 1, you fuckers have in your 30s, and you know what I mean. Like so, like all of our lists are completely different from one another.
Yeah, and I honestly can't complain. The only thing I do have a complaint about is a movie I bitched about. I think, and I agree with you, Smile 2 is way too high, and I'm going to talk to Nate about that. I think, and he'll probably agree with me. I do think that, technically speaking, Strange Darling is much better than Smile 2. And I believe Smile 2 belongs lower on the list, and I think he'll agree with me on that. So I think that's one of the very few edits. No, Abigail's awesome. Abigail is like my number 4 or 5. I love that movie. It was awesome.
Such a fucking blast.
Yep.
Sammy, those are fucking onions.
Yeah, that's such a fun movie. It's it's a little girl vampire ballerina, but that's not like that's the tip of the fucking iceberg. It's so great. Check it out. Seriously. Um, shit. I need to make a favorite vampires movie list, don't I?
You do.
Yeah, I need to. Anyway, yeah, we got a lot to talk about tomorrow night, and we will definitely be back. The Beast Within was number one. I think
Fuck
Seth's the
no.
only one who saw that.
I fucking hated that movie.
Did you talk about it on Werewolf Wednesday?
I did. It was brought up in like one episode where I talked about 2024 werewolf films so far. I am gonna do like a complete ranking episode. I think probably for this upcoming Wednesday.
Oh, go ahead. I gotta ask you something when you're done.
No, go ahead.
I'm going to probably go see the Wolfman movie the weekend it comes out. So if you want to do Werewolf Wednesday that Wednesday and talk about that, I'd probably be good to go to come on and talk about that.
Yeah, that's my plan is to do it then. So
okay, because I'm planning on seeing that the day probably after it comes out, probably at Saturday or Sunday, one of the two. So
yeah, I'm probably going to see it probably a couple times.
Yeah, I have tried to stay away from a lot of the promotion, even though it keeps getting thrown in my face, of course, because YouTube commercials and shit. But like, I really want to see what they did, and Nate tells me that look we got of what the Wolfman was going to look like does not look like that in the movie. It looks better. So who knows?
I've heard that too, and I'm willing to give it a shot. You know.
I don't have a top. My top one is Superman for this year. That's all I got. That's the only movie I'm really looking forward to that I can think of right now. The Batman keeps getting pushed back, and
for me, it's definitely Superman, Wolfman, and I would say Saw 11, but there hasn't been any movement on Saw 11.
no, it's still penciled in for this year, so we'll see. I mean, it doesn't take that long to make a horror movie these days, so who knows? Maybe it'll be next year. I don't know. I don't even know what's coming out this year. It's still really early, but yeah, I'll if I do see that, I'll come on that episode and talk about the new Wolfman, the Lee Winnell led. If it's anything like his Invisible Man, which of course is probably the best horror film of 2020, it should be a good one. So
yeah,
Saw 11 rumors canceled. I'm taking that with a grain of salt. I mean, they went as far as making a poster though.
Yeah, well, there was some issues that have been happening behind the scenes, from what I understand.
That Tobin Bell's like 85, and they can't make him look 30 anymore.
No, it's just kind of like a clash with the producers and studio. I don't know. That's the rumor of why it's been delayed and why it may possibly be canceled. And it's a shame too, because Saw 10 or Saw Roman numeral 10 was not only a fantastic movie, but it made good money, and it
really reinvigorated the franchise.
It did. I mean, even critics liked it.
Mm-hmm. It was one of my tops of that year, which I think was last year, wasn't it? 2023.
Mm-hmm.
I think I had a top 5 or so. Yeah, it's one of the best Saw movies. I mean, after what we got with Spiral, which was just okay, and Jigsaw, which wasn't that great, it was a breath of fresh air for the Saw franchise. And to be honest, if they stop at 10, I'll be happy with that. So, because we're never going to.
It's fine. It's just, me personally, I kind of want to. I don't know. Like, I guess it's fine with stopping at 10, right? But I feel like Hoffman is still alive, and they haven't really addressed that yet.
Oh yeah. So there's a couple of loose ends that need to be tied up. I thought that already came out. The Elm Street 4K box set. Is it all of them or just the first movie? Because I don't. If
Probably
it's just
just
one, I don't care.
yeah.
Because that's my favorite horror movie, but I still don't care.
If I mean, if it's all of them, then well, fuck you for making me have to get a 4K player.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I've actually got the Batman and John Carpenter's Halloween movie are the only 4Ks I have because I went to
I have
buy
a
the
couple.
Batman. Huh?
I do have a couple in my collection that are like the 4K Blu-ray combo
Yeah.
set.
Well,
So
that's why
I do have a couple 4K discs, but
I bought the Batman because the 4K was cheaper than the Blu-ray, and the 4K has the Blu-ray, so that's why I bought it. And then when I was walking out of Best Buy when they still had movies, Halloween was just sitting there staring at me, like playing the theme in my head, like you need to buy me, and I'm like, okay, I'll buy you. I need to get rest now.
no,
Anyway, all
I
right.
think I got that too. I think I
What
got that too because real quick because I had to have 2 copies of Halloween for my John Carpenter's Halloween for my collection. One to go with my John Carpenter filmography,
Oh
so I
yeah.
have all his films on Blu-ray in order of release, and then also uh, on the shelf above it, I have all my Halloween films. So I needed Halloween to go with the other
Mm,
Halloween films. So
makes sense to me.
yep,
It makes sense to me. All right, dude. One last comment, and then we're gonna get out of here. Yeah, I think it's the first. Yeah, there's a lot of problems I have with that set. They use images from the remake. They use images from Dream Warriors for the branding, and it's you can't do that. That's a sin to me. So anyway, Seth, we'll see you tomorrow night.
it's a sin. Yep.
It is a sin.